Hello, everyone, and welcome to Two Dorks, One Mic. I'm Max, and this is my amazing best friendo, Kyle.
What's up?
And we're back. New
Another-
episode.
we-
Sorry?
We've been consistent. We've got like 3 episodes in a row. We're doing.
I know. We are, not to say like we're on a roll, but I mean, compared to our previous track record, we're on a roll.
God damn.
Look at us, keeping, sticking to our guns. It's only a matter of time before, that falls under the fucking bus because, we get busy with other shit, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Right, exactly. But no, I did see. The problem was we were trying to do this when I was in college, and you were doing your college stuff online, and that was just all kinds of crazy. At the
Yes,
time.
not the fact that we were also both on other sides of the. I was on one side of the continent, he was on the other.
And now we're in the same time zone, so we're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're getting there. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that I'm a dozen plus hours away from you in terms of location, but
Right.
hey, at least we're closer than before,
Exactly.
more than ever.
We're more than emotionally, I think. But no, so
Emotionally, I don't think I mean, if anything, emotionally, the dynamic has changed. I mean, by all means, bring it to my attention. But
No,
I feel like our bond is just stronger than ever, just because of proximity.
I know it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But no, so not a lot of stories this week, but one fucking big one that dropped yesterday. That was
I feel like it should be said. It's a good fucking miracle that we're doing this about a day after the fact.
Because we were gonna do it yesterday, and then I said let's do it tomorrow, and then this fucking shit happened.
Yeah, like by all means, like probably the biggest thing in the nerd space, if you will, broke literally just by some miracle. It's like for once we actually get to pounce on a story, or at least I say pounce.
Right.
But it all chalks up to how long it takes me to edit and export it without issue, because
we will pounce on the story,
because full disclosure, the reason why the posting schedule may be a little bit inconsistent is because my laptop apparently doesn't like me editing and exporting these long ass podcasts. So it's been a struggle, but I'm a persistent motherfucker. So, they're still getting posted, but hopefully I can get this one, done and uploaded well within a reasonable time frame after, we talk after, the events that are going down and we talk about this.
Well, and then because next week's going to be busy, because next week you got the Snyder Cut trailer, and like I'm sure that's going to be a thing, and then who knows
whatever else happens in the gaming space.
I know the Disney Plus had like a big meeting for like their like update and like investor day, so I'm sure that'll be on a topic next week. But
oh wow, I had no idea. But then again, I only read into certain things.
The big thing is on the show Melandaborian, there was a woman who was fired, and she didn't listen to Baby Don'ta.
You done?
No, I'm done.
You proud of those puns that were funny the first time, but now like on a second?
I'm
like
just
he came up with these before we recorded. Just saying.
Yeah, and then
not to say that that's a bad thing. It's just like
no, it's like I just want to get those groans out.
The cringe.
God, the cringe is strong with this one.
Yes, thank you. That's a good one. I give you a fist bump, but it's like here, I'll just
boom.
Let's do the Keanu Reeves thing, just like towards the camera.
So you and I are pretty much on the same page on this, and let's talk about a little.
In a general manner of speaking, I believe so.
Yes. I don't feel bad for her getting fired, and the reason.
Well, I feel like we got to establish what exactly we're talking about.
So you go first, and then you set it up, and then I'll go and give my opinion.
So yeah, I think we already know what this is, but just in case we need to fully state it. So the internet and then some is shitting its britches because Gina Carano has formally been axed from Lucasfilm, The Mandalorian, and all upcoming Star Wars related projects. In light, and also shortly after the fact, her talent agency has parted ways with her. In light of a very recent controversial statement that she made on Twitter.
Was it Instagram?
That was on social media. I honestly can't remember. So much shit happens, but on social media, because pardon the mistake in that. And that was basically the straw that broke the camel's back in what seemed like a months long a months long debacle, if you will. Um, yeah, that's basically the gist of
She
it.
compared conservatives.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think we out of for we don't like, you can look into this. I'm pretty sure it'll be easy to find. I don't really feel like it's necessary for me to put up an actual screen cap of what she posted. I'm not, for one, it's like I'm not doing that. It's like I'm pretty certain that either you know what we're talking about or you can easily find it, because pretty much most people are talking about it. But as you were saying, she made a very controversial statement consisting of the following.
she posted a statement that compared the plight, quote unquote, of conservatives in America to a marginalized group in a major historical event. Um, and a lot of people got upset about it from an understandable perspective. Um, and my thing with it is, this is just my opinion. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she did get fired, and I think that was the right thing to do. Now, whether Disney fired her because they thought the statement was horrible or they just saw it was trending is a different issue, that because we don't know what, we're not Disney insiders. Obviously, we don't have the insight into the decisions that were made, but the decision was made to let her go.
Yes.
And my thing is, she made a statement. Everyone's acting like this is a thing on freedom of speech. It's not really, in my opinion, because she's not getting she's not getting fired for what she said. She's getting fired because of the reaction to what she said. Like, you have the right to go in and say horrible things. You have the right to say really almost
Mm-hmm.
anything you want in America.
Well,
Doesn't mean that
I feel like, I don't mean to interject, but I feel like that this is kind of where things kind of get a little bit tricky here.
Mhm.
Free speech is something that we all in this wonderful, great nation of ours
Right.
do have a right to. And there, but where people seem to misstep is that there are things that it does and does not protect.
Exactly.
And you do have a right to express, to express whatever, to express and say whatever, so long as it fits within the guidelines of what is protected by it.
Mhm.
And in this instance, her statement, is defensible within within the confines of free speech, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily about that,
Right.
if you will. But go ahead and get back to what you were
I
saying.
felt like she made a statement. I If you know what the statement was, you can clearly, I think it's a fair assessment, in my opinion, to state that she knew she wrote it that way to get attention. She wrote it in a way that was going to grab people and get headlines, I think.
Mhm,
And she is an adult. She is of sound mind and body.
mhm.
She knew what she was writing out and sending out, and she suffered the consequences for it. Do I think she needs to be entirely blacklisted? And I'm saying this as someone of a specific, I'm of a specific faith that was brought up in that comment. So I'm trying to dance around this as much as possible.
Well,
Um,
I feel like that's perfectly fine and appropriate, because I mean, we've said it. I feel like we've said it before, and we should say it again. We're not political.
right.
This is supposed to be a pop culture podcast and discussion. We are not striving to get political. We are not trying to join the discussions, the discourse, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
That's not on our minds or by any means within our agenda.
Right.
We do not want to bring up any of this, like bring up the specifics or verbatim, because not only do I want, like, because we don't want to get involved in that, but I also feel like, and I hate this word, I don't want to trigger. We don't want to trigger anybody
Right.
and spark and really spark anything in that regard. But this
But
is a pop culture related topic, and I feel like it is something that we should discuss. But with that said, we are going to dance around various aspects of it, because being political is not even remotely within our agenda.
I will say, like, I think she knew what she was writing. She wrote it in a way that, was very attention grabbing. The question I want to know, was she trying to send it to just like close friends? Did she mean for this to go public? Out of curiosity,
I'm not entirely certain.
because I never heard what I never if she gave like
I just saw the post.
right.
I just saw like I just saw somebody like posted a screen cap of the post, and that was really it. I don't follow her on Twitter or any social media. I don't really like I mean, me personally, I don't really follow any real celebrities or actors on social media, because what they do in their personal lives and what they say or whatever is not really my concern. It's
Right.
like whatever they say or do, that's their business, and I really don't feel like it's something I need to devote time of my day to. Like there are, some voice actors and actors that I do follow, or maybe people in the industries that I'm interested in that I do follow, but very loosely. Like I'm not actively keeping tabs on these on them and what they say and do. It's just like I have a feed of individuals that I follow that I scroll through, and that's really it. I'm not actively following people that I'm overly interested in, or even someone interested in, because they have their lives, I have mine.
No, absolutely. Well, and that's the thing is like um well, like I said, it's well within Disney's right and Lucasfilm's right to let her go if they saw what she said and they don't want to work with her anymore. That's my thing with it. I don't know. It's I think letting her go was the right thing to do, personally. Um, but that's I mean, it's some people disagree about that, but I personally supported letting her go, because this when you're representing a show, you have to be cautious about what you put out. You
Mhm.
have to understand that you're in a position of being a celebrity, and all that. But yeah, no, that's my opinion on it. I think Disney made the right thing letting her go, and
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if you want to, if you anything
Well,
you.
I mean, I do, I do, I am very much kind of in a similar lane as you, but at the same time, I do feel that I am somewhat contrarian in some areas. Like the
Mhm.
general gist of it, I do feel like, hey, you say something, it's like you say something this controversial, then there is going to be repercussions for that, and the way that things played out, I feel like but I do feel like I am contrarian in some areas, and
Mhm.
I feel like I should say aloud, I'm kind of in a yes and no in terms of being I'm kind of in a yes and no lane in terms of kind of having and kinds of defending Gina, because I feel like all of us kind of coming at her, both barrels, and just dogpiling on her with all of this negativity and stuff. I feel like that's not unwarranted. I feel like, yeah, you say or do something stupid, then I feel like, yes, you should be called out on that. But the fact that everyone is just dogpiling on her and just being like, and just kind of rubbing it in, it just seems a little inappropriate to me. I, and kind of immature, honestly. Yes, I do agree that the repercussions are fair, if not very severe. I do feel letting her go from the show and perhaps any future projects is a reasonable repercussion, but to get axed by her talent agency and perhaps like God knows what other kinds of shit that she might be facing, possibly blacklisting, seems a little bit too far. That it's like, because for me and my for where I'm caught is like, for me, I'm a very open-minded and very understanding individual. I've said that shit before in the past, and I typically like kind of do my best to understand where people are coming from whenever they say something. And from my point of view, I can understand where she was coming from. It's just the way that she said what she said was very, very poor. It was done very poorly. And there have been many instances in the past where people have, made similar fuck ups, and probably the people in the future will make similar fuck ups. We're human. But not to try to take any severity away from the situation in general. I'm just kind of stating that as a fact.
Right.
Uh, and but where a lot of my conflict with this stems from is not really so much in the way that we're treating her, even though, except, the mass mobs of people that are dogpiling on her. I think that's a little bit unnecessary, unwarranted, and immature. Um, it's like, look, someone gets called out for their bullshit. Yes, call them out on it, but you don't need to fucking rub it in. That's just not necessary. That's just rubbing salt on the wound, if you will. And I feel like we as people can be above that, and we should be above that. It's like, yeah, when someone messes up, call them out on that, but don't act like children and don't rub it in. It's not necessary. But at the same time, I do kind of on the same time, I do kind of feel for her, and this is just kind of me just, feeling for people in general. I
Mhm.
always try to, I guess, just um try to I guess empathize with people. I guess that's just part of my nature as a person, is whether you were in the right, it's like whether you made it, like whether you were in the wrong and you made a mistake of some kind. It's like I do try to feel for you in some regard, I guess. And in this case, I feel like, yeah, like the repercussions were very severe. And in the case of Lucasfilm and Star Wars and stuff, I do feel like that is fair. But at the same time, I feel like all the other like far rate, kind of other, I guess, ripple effect stuff. It's like I do feel for her because on one hand, it's like she has a right to express her opinions, um, free speech and all. Well, yeah, she does have a right to express those, and I and I do think it's a little nonsensical to pull the rug out from her in this way, for her just expressing her right to say something. And yeah, I don't always entirely agree with the things she says. Whether we wind the clocks back all the way to when this shit started with the whole, transphobia allegations and stuff with her, which, I mean, giving my 2 cents on that whole matter. I don't think she was in the wrong on that. I feel like, hey, if you don't want to put your pronouns in your Twitter bio or any social media bio whatsoever, I feel like you're within your right. It's like it's a choice. It's not an obligation. It's like if you don't want to, put that in your bio, you shouldn't have to. It's like I understand why people do it, in solidarity with the community and such, but me, a trans person, I don't even do that because I don't think it's necessary. I think you look at my profile picture, just take a glance, you just kind of look at things at just like a surface. You should you should know who I am and who my pronoun, like that I present and identify as a female, and you should understand that my pronouns are she, her. I feel like there's a reasonable implication there, maybe not outright, but you should be able. But I guess my point is, you should be able to easily deduce who all I am and what I'm about. Yes, I do now have trans included in my bio, but that's mostly because I do trans related content in my spare time, and that's associated with that, not in association with the whole, showing solidarity with the community type of thing. So in that instance, I do feel like she wasn't in the wrong in there, and I feel like people trying to force, like having this mom mentality and trying to force her to go with the majority when she doesn't have an obligation to, was kind of fucked up and wrong. I feel like if you want to show your support that way, good on you, go for it. But trying to strong arm another person into doing that and calling them transphobic and an asshole, because they don't respectfully aren't going to fall in with what you're doing, that's not right. And her comment, and even her comments after the fact, I felt were like, still, there was nothing transphobic in there. Like, and again, like, I'm a trans person, and I can confidently say, looking at her post responding to the situation, there wasn't anything. I didn't personally find anything transphobic in those responses that she made, following in that situation. And to have people try to speak on my behalf was fucking unnecessary. It's like, have you ever, like, did any of those people ever think to like ask another trans person what they think about that? What someone like who, such as myself, has to think about that situation, and where I and others perhaps stand on that? It's like, don't think like how I and others think, and don't fucking like speak for us. It's like, ask us.
Right.
And in that case, she wasn't in the wrong. But going back to the present, and it's like in this case, it's like, yeah, she said something very controversial, and yeah, she wasn't in the wrong in the way and how she phrased it. Like, I understand where she was coming from and what she was trying to, where she was going with this, I guess. But the way she said it was,
that's where you and I disagree on that part. I think the phrasing really kind of, the phrasing of the comment was really kind of like, you're comparing literally.
yeah, yeah, and that's where, that's where I do feel I agree with others, and it's like the phrasing is, yeah, where it's like where she fucked up. It's just, for me, it's like, I guess as an empathetic person, just I'm trying to try to
Trying to give her the
understand.
benefit of the doubt.
Yes, yes, like I'm trying to like level with you and understand where you were going for this with this, but that does not necessarily negate the severity of how you said it and the overall impact that it generally had on people. Like, that in itself was very much in the wrong. But to cast her out like this and throw her under the bus like this, I feel like the whole, Lucasfilm and Star Wars stuff, that was warranted, but to basically treat her like a pariah, like to treat her like a pariah in the way that people are presently doing right now, is just fucking unnecessary. It's just
She does, well, what she needs to do is her agent needs to tell her to just lay low for a while, because they need to
yeah.
let this,
Just, I mean,
if she wants any
if
shot
she,
of coming back into the mainstream.
yeah, if I mean, by all means, if you want to, express like an actual wholehearted, like, sincere apology, go for it. But if not, just please just don't say anything right now. Just stay quiet.
Yep.
But one thing I did want to shine a light, because again, I don't want to get political or anything, but I really do feel like that this kind of does stem into a much larger topic with the whole subject of, I guess, censorship and the whole free speech argument, because
I just think it's funny that she's sitting there saying like, oh, we're being treated like this, when
the vocal majority,
a decent number of people on, look, 71 million people voted for Donald Trump. There are 71 million people who voted conservative in this last election, okay?
Mhm.
There are not 71 million people in concentration camps, getting their head shaven, getting tattooed on their arms, having their teeth pulled out, being thrown in ovens and gas chambers. So like let's stop with this whole thing. Also, there were people who marched a Confederate flag into the Capitol and broke in.
Yeah.
And I will say that wasn't good.
That wasn't even
good.
remotely good.
That wasn't good.
And this is where I kind of come back to this is where I don't entirely agree with the things that she says. Like, I've seen the decent gist of the things that she said over the past many months, and yeah, she has a right to express her opinions, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with her, and the majority of the time I don't.
Right, no,
and many others.
She has the right to say whatever. She has the right to say what she wants, but she has to understand there's going to be consequences.
Yes, there is that, and I do feel I can agree with that. It's like, you do say something like that, there is going to be repercussions, and it is what it is. You gotta own up to your mistakes, and you gotta move on and try to do better, and try to do better in light of them. If you manage to find it within yourself to realize that, I guess. But my I guess my concern and my problem is just I'm not really like too flustered with her. I'm just flustered with the way that people are behaving in this situation, because it's like, guys, I'm not going to pretend like I know her, because I don't, and I'm not trying to defend her. Let me make it blatantly clear that I am not trying to like subtly or dance around or defend her. That's not what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm just trying to say that I do not agree with, like, I do not condone with what she said. I'm going to defend and say, like, yes, she has a right to express her opinions in this particular scenario. Yes, that is protected by free speech, but it doesn't negate from the fact that what she said was very controversial and very poorly set, thought out. Right. And there should be repercussions for that. but I guess a lot of my larger beef stems with the way people have been treating her, reacting to the situation, and just treating her like a pariah. And just, it's like, it's unnecessary. Just, guys, she's human. Fuck, we're all human. Don't try to act like you haven't said something completely fucking stupid once in your life, or maybe even a couple times in your life that you horribly regret or hopefully learned from. I know I've said my fair share of
Right.
incredibly stupid shit
Oh,
that
so
I have since that I've since learned from and grew, you know, well after the fact. And I
I
mean,
never,
even in
I
the
never, I never compared. I
oh
never.
yeah, nothing ever
Yeah,
nothing ever like that severe. But my point is, it's like we've said stupid shit in the past that we've regretted and we've since learned from.
right.
And I feel that's important. So to try to almost like ride a moral high ground and just give her all of this shit and acting like you're in the better, it's like acting like you're in the better, like, get off the fucking pedestal. Stop it. We're human. That doesn't mean that you need to go to what's the word I'm looking for? Rubbing salt in the wound or acting all childish and immature because she got hers and now you're gonna gonna
Making
rub it in her
you're
face.
suffer. The issue should be.
Her consequences are punishment enough. We
Well,
do not
my
need to.
my. I think what we're trying to say is
Oh,
that, like, look, she made a statement. She got fired for it. That should be the end of the conversation.
precisely. And all of these posts and stuff that I'm seeing on Twitter alone are just like, this is why I don't like to get involved in these conversations and why I stay far the fuck out of them, because people at their worst can really let their disrespectful nature and immaturity shine when a situation comes along that brings it out of them. And I just don't like seeing that, and I definitely don't like getting all wrapped up in it, because it's just I just don't like seeing people being shitty to each other,
Right.
whether it's you think it's justified or not. It's like, guys, we're human. There's no need for that. It's like, she got her repercussions, she got her consequences for her actions. End of discussion. We do not need to be all rubbing it in her face and being immature about it. And I guess that's where I really feel for her as a person. It's just like, I just don't like seeing this happen to people, and any, unless you happen to be like a genuinely really shitty person. And in that case, you got what's coming to you. But in the case of a who I guess to be like a decent human being who just made who has her peculiar beliefs and mindset, and I mean, more power to you. Believe what you want. I personally don't care, as long as you're being reasonably respectful to others at minimum. I don't care what you believe. But sorry, I'm losing my train of
So what we're saying, Max, is that this is not the way.
no, this is not the way, my guy.
This
This
is not
is
the way.
not the way.
No.
The Mandalorians would definitely not approve of her actions, and would definitely not be and I'm pretty confident would not be approving of the actions of the way that.
So does this mean that she thinks the Death Star is a Jewish space laser?
Guys, I feel like I gotta say it. This is another one of those jokes that he cooked. This is
It's
just more.
funny.
I know, it's
funny.
funny. You like, you're fucking lucky that I have a fucked up sense of humor and can appreciate shit like that. But guy, he thought of this shit before he started recording, and I could just see the look on his face. He was itching to say it.
It's
Like, I can just tell he just wanted to get that off his chest. And
it's so funny. It comes
like,
full circle.
It does come full circle. It's like it's like, you were just lucky I got like a fucked up sense of humor. Like, we're in the same lane, at least in that regard.
Yeah. But no, I don't have anything really more to say on this, because I kind of want to get to our other topics.
Yeah,
kind of
I feel like, to just kind of in summary, Gina, if by some fucking mirror, in some fucking way you happen to see this, what you did wasn't good. It was really fucking stupid. But know that I just honestly hope that you can learn from this, that you can become better in light of it, and that you just really tread lightly, not only tread lightly with what you say on an online setting, but just tread carefully with how you kind of construct your thoughts and just choose to express them generally whether they be on an online platform or even just around other people.
Right.
Just think before you speak, I guess. And I hope that the future isn't bleak for you. That that maybe there's some type of silver lining to this, if any. That maybe things aren't going to be completely hopeless for you, and that you can learn from this, and that there's going to be some, like, the future can hold some positivity for you. But good God, not that I believe in God or that sort of thing. I'm an atheist, I should say that. But good grief. Um, I hope that you learn from this experience, and hopefully, you can positively move forward with your life, your career aspirations, and whatever you decide to set your mind to. I think that the way that people have been treating you in light of this situation is wrong, and they really need to fucking lay off and find something better to do with their time. But you as a person should hopefully you learn and grow from this experience, and hopefully your future can hold some good for you down the road, once this whole situation fizzles out and people find something else to bitch about, or someone else to fucking crucify for their actions and whatnot. And then to the people that had that made the situation happen, I hope you're fucking happy that you got your justice, that I'm not going to get into the whole political spectrum, like the whole political side of this, even though I have a whole fucking thing I'd love to say about this. But I hope you people are happy. You got what you wanted, and go back. It's like, go back to your caves or your dwellings or whatever the fuck you want to call them, and just lay off her. She's human. She made a mistake. She got consequences. Hopefully she learn. I really hope that she learns from them. Go find something else. Like, go fucking find something else better to do, and stop ragging on a person who fucked up. Just stop. I really am trying to restrain myself and getting into my whole spiel here, but seriously, lay the fuck off and go find something else better to do with your time.
Well, speaking of other things that co-stars in The Mandalorian have been doing, Pedro Pascal has been cast as Joel from The Last of Us show on HBO Max.
Yep, for the upcoming Last of Us series adaptation on HBO. And yesterday, it was, between the Gina situation, yesterday was also just weirdly just positive and uplifting, because while that shit was going down, I also couldn't help but jump with joy at the revelation of the casting.
I heard that Mahershala Ali was offered the role, but then Pedro Pascal.
Is that how you pronounce his name?
Mahershala Ali, I think so.
He's a great actor, and I love his work, and I cannot wait to see him as Blade. But for the life of me, I can never remember how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry.
When he was offered the role, I was thinking things are good, and then when Pedro Pascal was cast, I thought, but they could be better.
Don't be that. Come on. Oh, I could just, when I heard that, I guess before we really get into this, when I heard that rumor, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, okay, I could see that. I could totally see it. They want to, it's maybe creatively they want to go in a different direction with the characters. And I personally am in the boat of if it shouldn't be about trying to authentically replicate what we've seen in that previous media. It should be about getting not only the right person for the job, but possibly exploring a different, something different with that character, whether it be, who portrays them. I think that's very interesting when we've seen time and time again many instances of characters that have completely, different casting and them delivering.
Mm-hmm.
A recent example I can think of was Domino in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know who could possibly portray that character. So when she was cast, so when I don't even, how do you pronounce her?
When Joker's girlfriend was cast in the role, I thought it was.
I feel sorry. I don't know how to pronounce her. I don't know. You know who I'm talking about, but I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry. But when she was cast as Domino, I was like, okay, I can see it. It's all right. I'm very interested to see this, and then getting to see her in the film, it's okay, she's doing really good. She's not only having fun with that character, but she seemed like the right person for that role. She just embodied that character very well and kind of put her own little sizzle on it. And
Zazie Beetz.
Thank you. Like I know I had it in my mind, but it's just like if I were to try to pronounce it out loud, I feel like I would have fucked it up.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, she did absolutely wonderful as the character, and that just went to show it's like she was the right person for the job, and she did something, made it her own, and did something really good with it, and it fucking showed. And I feel like the same could have been said here if that were the case for Joel and The Last of Us. It's like, okay, they felt like he would have been in that scenario. They felt like he would have been the right person for the job, and I would have been very interested to see creatively and character wise where they could have gone with that character if that was the case. But since that's not the case, and we now have good old and we have wonderful, amazing, sweet Pedro Pascal in the role of Joel, I'm like, okay, because I'm gonna be honest, like I honestly didn't foresee that. Like I'm to be honest, I really didn't have like a specific pick in mind for who should play this character. Because I mean, you could really have, I mean, really, you can think of any middle-aged actor to play like a gruff, grizzled dad type. Really, anybody could have fucking done it. I know a lot of people in the back of their minds were thinking people like Hugh Jackman, or personally, a name that popped into mind was Josh Brolin, who humorously, like interestingly enough, Joel was actually based off of Josh Brolin from No Country for Old Men. Like
I could have seen Brendan Fraser.
like even Brendan Fraser, I wouldn't have thought of him either. But like literally any like really anybody could have stepped into those shoes and embodied that character, and I feel like that's where an interesting an discussion opened up. But Pedro was just a guy that just really hadn't really crossed my mind. I just didn't really think of it. But now that that is the case, I'm like, okay, I'm very I'm not trying to like picture in my head like the character, but I'm like, because I mean honestly it could be anything, but I'm really interested to see it's like how he embodies the character and what that and the execution that can mean in the show itself. And the same goes for Bella Ramsey, who's been cast as Ellie. Like in the back of my mind, that's a character who I actually did think I had a casting for. I thought Caitlin Denver would have been cool for the role, because I mean I look at her and it's like, oh yeah, she looks like Ellie, and she seemed like she could have been a nice shoe in to play that, to portray the character. But hey, they cast Bella Ramsey, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, much like Pedro, I'm interested to see. And I also kind of like the funny coincidence that both of them are basically Game of Thrones alumni,
Right.
if you will. It's like they both worked on. I find it funny that they both worked on that show, which was on HBO, and now they get to work together on this other show that's also being done by HBO.
Mhm.
Small world, apparently,
Yeah. But
for
no,
people
I
who must have
think
worked a part of that show. But I I think it's just very interesting, like the fact that they've been casted as these characters, because um it definitely gives me the vibe that this show is not trying to be a one-to-one remake of the game, which I'm actually really excited for, because it shouldn't be.
right.
This series has an opportunity to explore the story. Like I feel like the same story beat should still be there, but this series has an opportunity to explore that story in a whole new media and really take advantage of that.
Right.
Because with a game, it's an interactive media, and the story, in my honest opinion, I know where you stand on the game, and in general, we've talked about it before. But for
Mhm.
me personally, that story really translated well into that interactive, immersive experience for storytelling. So I'm very interested to see how they try to translate and reinterpret that, and I guess recontextualize that in a more cinematic and more episodic film format.
Did they say how many episodes it's going to be?
I'm not 100% sure. I think I'm not. Yeah, I'm honestly not 100% sure. They probably and then when they initially announced it or some time ago confirmed when it was going to be, how many episodes it's going to be. But that's not really a concern on my mind. The concern is just more of like, I guess the concern creatively I do have is how much of the story is going to be translated. Because again, I feel like that's where the discussion really kind of comes up, and an interesting discussion comes up. It's like, how are they going to try to adapt that story? Because as a movie, back when Neil Druckmann was trying to adapt it into a movie, working with Sam Raimi and I believe Screen Gems, I didn't think that movie was going to really work, because you're trying to take that very long story and adapt it to a possibly two, maybe if we're lucky, 2.5 hour film. And I don't think he could have contained the entire story and all of that character development and that journey in that frame. But now that we're working with an episodic format, you do have an opportunity to really tell the full story and then some. And it leaves me to wonder, is this going to be a limited series that's going to try to tell the entire story with maybe some additional stuff? Or is this going to try to maybe reinterpret the story and perhaps stretch it over the course of maybe like a season or two?
Right. Well, I'm really excited for Pedro Pascal because he's really carved himself a role as someone who, as the grizzled kind of old guy looking out for a younger, more marketable, innocent character. He did that on The Mandalorian with Baby Yoda. Now he's doing it with Ellie.
What I like about this and why I feel like it's such a shoe in that I kind of am surprised that, I didn't think of prior to the past. It's like Pedro is good at playing an anti-hero.
No, he's very good at it.
Yeah, it's like, I know we talked about this before we started recording, that he's not only good at playing a very good antagonistic character, but he has shown us that he's very capable of playing an anti-hero, a very morally gray character that doesn't really act so much on morals, but acts so much more on common sense and instincts, with some morality factored into there, as we see with Mando and his growing relationship with the kid over the course of of both seasons thus far. We get to see him go from somewhat from a bounty hunter that doesn't really that is only about follow sticking to the ways of his people as a Mandalorian, and just doing his part. But getting to see him slowly develop a connection, now that I think about it, it really does share a lot of parallels to The Last of Us, where Joel is this very gray character who had a very tragic event that and 20 years living in the post-apocalypse, having to become grizzled, hardened survivor without much emotion, without much emotional capacity, and then having to take on this task of escorting this young girl across the United States, and without knowing it, developing this inseparable connection with her, this father-daughter like bond. Was very interesting to see in that journey. There's a lot of parallels between these two completely different stories.
Right.
But yeah, Pedro is really good at playing an anti-hero, and I'm really interested to see how he embodies Joel and how he tries to embody his character and that journey and his slowly developing relationship with Ellie. And I'm also very interested in seeing how Bella Ramsey embodies Ellie, because she herself is a very peculiar character, is a very interesting character as well. Like, that's the thing I like about both of them, is they're both very complex human characters.
Right.
And I'm very interested to see how she embodies this very tough, but very kind of lighthearted, somewhat innocent character who who doesn't even know either that she's going to develop this kind of connection with this sort of father figure, and this inseparable bond, and finally having someone in her life that she hopes doesn't abandon her, and seeing how that unfolds over the course of this show, and how they try to interpret that story. But I'm mostly just interested to see how they embody those characters, and in turn how the story is going to be told, if they're going to try to contain the first game story to a single, to a season, and maybe they try to adapt part 2 and a second season. Like, I really don't know how they're going to go about it, but I'm especially intrigued to see how these two actors embody these two very very interesting characters. I'm not going to say iconic, because let's face it, that's a whole discussion within itself. These two very interesting characters, how they embody them, and what that means for how the story is going to be told, not just moment to moment in scenes and dialogue, but as a whole. Like, Joel and Ellie are the center of the story, and the center of this series, if you will. So if they don't work, it's really ultimately up to them how they work as the characters, and then by extension how they manage to work with the story.
Right.
And yeah, I'm just surprised, and I'm just kind of surprised, like, very pleasantly to see that we are not also just pleasantly surprised to see that we're not getting big name talent to play these characters. Not to discredit Pedro, he's gotten a lot of mileage the last couple of years, but I would not consider him.
He's not like an A-lister.
Yeah, I'm not going to consider him to be in the mile high club of the A-listers.
He's not.
he's a name that he's a guy that gets around and works on a vast array of different stuff, but he's not the high profile.
I'd put him on the same level as someone like Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know who they are. You're familiar with some of their work, if not maybe most of it, but you wouldn't consider them to be of that like high acclaimed prestige that some, people in the industry have carved out for themselves over, a long, over decades of a long ass career. I'm very thrilled to see. And I know some people like I might have been making the arguments like, oh, but Pedro's getting so much mileage, working on projects here and there. And it's like, but hey, if he's the right person for the job, he's the right person for the job, and that should be an irrelevant factor. I just personally feel it's just nice to see, an actor that, not to see an A-lister in this role, somebody who is capable, talented, and also just a cool person in general.
Right.
Get to get to for another time get to what's the word headline a show, get to headline another show. It's like I feel like The Mandalorian was a big win for him, because prior to that he's mostly been playing like secondary characters, if you will. He was never part of like the main fold. He was just kind of he was always a supporting character or something else. So to get to see him portray a character that's the main attraction, essentially, not excluding the kid as well, to have him be that central protagonist was really cool to see, because he's is very talented and very capable, and he's done so well in that role. So to see him to get an opportunity at that with an established character, I'm not only happy for him, but I'm very intrigued to see what he does with that. And for Bella Ramsey, I'm not familiar with her filmography, because like I've never watched Game of Thrones, and I probably never will. No, I definitely never will. I'll just say that right now. I'm never gonna watch Game of Thrones. It's never gonna happen. We can probably look back at this like several years from now, and it's still gonna be true. Never gonna watch Game of Thrones.
I saw the first episode, and I never watched that.
It's never gonna fucking happen. It's not my cup of tea. No disrespect to the show, whether you like it or hate it, or if it's good or bad. I just personally don't care.
Hey, it gave us Aquaman.
Hey, that's true. Hey, Jason Momoa is great.
Yep.
He's a cool dude. He's definitely like a cool, fun dude I'd love to chill with. But getting kind of back on Jack, it's just like I like that we have that we have a sort of like a capable actress who kind of like Pedro, kind of is around, but hasn't really had I guess really hasn't had an opportunity like this. So to get to headline the show, I'm really glad to to see someone get an opportunity like that, and I'm very excited to see how they embody those roles. And I guess that's all that really needs to be said about it. I know some people have been bitching about like, oh, but she doesn't look like Ellie, and it's like, guys, who fucking cares? It's not about how like one-to-one they can look like the character. I mean, Henry Cavill doesn't look one-to-one like Geralt from the fucking Witcher, but he's still kick-ass as the character.
Right.
Like, he looks enough like the character, and he portrays him so well that I can buy that's the White Wolf. That is Geralt of Rivia. Like, I can buy it. Like, he looks enough like him and portrays him so well that I can buy that he is that character. And I feel like this is going to be no exception here. And also, guys, if you're bitching about authenticity about characters, then I feel like it should be. Then let's not forget the fact that Pedro Pascal is a actor of Hispanic background. He's Colombian,
right? Who
speaks Spanish very fluently and has a very ambiguous outlook, but let's not forget that. So if you're going to start bitching about the fact that, Bella Ramsey doesn't look like Ellie, then don't even fucking start, because Pedro Pascal isn't Caucasian, and he isn't from the fucking South like Joel is. Do not come out of the gate with that.
They'll make him do a Southern accent.
If he does, I hope that, like Troy Baker, he makes it very subdued and not overbearing.
Hey, Ellie, we gotta get going down the road. There's a couple walkers coming this way.
Well, that's the thing I liked about Troy Baker's portrayal. That's why I consider that to still be his best performance to date. Is the fact that, if you didn't know any better, you wouldn't know that a guy like Troy Baker plays a character like that. You wouldn't know, looking at him, that they are one and the same in the fact that they are like portrayed, that he portrays that character. just the voice and the personality and the mannerisms that he made for Joel seems so unlike him, because he's so like his natural sounding voice and just his mannerisms in general as his normal, typical self are very different from the character. And that's why I would consider that to be his best performance, because it's just such a shift for him. It's like between how he talks and the subtle yet like genuine authenticity of his southern accent, and just the way he composes himself and he acts and behaves and just expresses himself. All of those elements come together to make such an interesting character. As I keep saying time and time again, I'm really interested to see how Pedro embodies that. So I really hope that he didn't go overboard with it in Kingsman: The Golden Circle. I mean,
Right.
he had a bit he had a bit of it's like he managed to make it sound authentic but not overbearing. So
Right.
I have faith that he's not gonna go overboard with it as well. I mean, you put him in the right costume, you give him all that nice, stubble, give him some longer, scruffier hair, put some wear and tear on his face, and he just finds a compelling, authentic voice to come up with. This guy's Joel. I can see it.
Oh
I
yeah.
can totally see it. And the same with Bella Ramsey. It's like you put her in the right outfit, you give her, you give her the long hair and the ponytail with the kind of the parted bangs to the sides. You give her, the scar over her eye, over her right eye, and maybe give her a little bit of makeup, a little bit of cosmetic makeup to kind of maybe make her fall a little bit more in line with the character. I'm not saying you need to make her look one-to-one. That's not necessary, but kind of make sure that the general look is there, and it's like, boom, she's Ellie. And as long as she captures the personality, the attitude, and I feel like we're gonna have not only a really kick-ass of this game, but maybe probably one of the more interesting shows out there. And I think it might really add credit to the idea of
Thing is,
doing at
will it be as big as a video game movie as Sonic was?
I kind of feel like it's I
Because
kind of
I will
feel
say, like, I know you hadn't seen it. I saw it on TV and it's fine, but like, kind of because we don't have a lot of talks, but I kind of wanted to spin this out really quick.
sure, go for it.
So, do you think the fact that isn't this the first live action adaptation of a video game into a TV like miniseries, basically?
I want to say I believe so, yes. Mostly when adaptations, the industry has mostly leaned towards doing feature film adaptations.
Right.
I think this is kind of more or less somewhat a first of its kind. It's not a first for doing an episodic series based on a video game.
Right.
We've had shit like that has existed since the 1980s when Nintendo was doing a push for that stuff with
No, but I'm saying like this is like an actual mini series because I'm guessing they're not going to have it like be like 5 seasons. I'm guessing they're.
Well, I don't think we fully know exactly to what extent that this is supposed to go to. If it's going to be like a multi-season endeavor, if we're gonna, in my mind, I'm picturing like season 1 is the first game, and a second season would possibly adapt part 2.
Right.
That's what I'm seeing in my mind. I don't know if that's the plan that they have in mind or if they want to try something different. I don't fucking know. But typically, but as of like the last couple of years, whenever we've gotten an episodic adaptation of a game, it's been animated. The most notable example of this has been Castlevania on Netflix,
Right.
which has been a huge fucking success. I mean, I believe its third season has already come out. If not, it's revving up for its third season. And that's been a huge fucking slam dunk to the fact that more adaptations were greenlit in light of that. I know the showrunner for Castlevania has got the rights to Devil May Cry, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that turns out to be. I know they did an adaptation of Dragon's Dogma, which I'm not going to fucking watch because I never played that game and I don't care to. And I know that Netflix is greenlit they're doing an animated adaptation of Ubisoft products like Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell. They're doing a Cyberpunk anime, a Cyberpunk 2077 anime. But
it includes the drops in frame rates as well.
I mean, who fucking knows? I don't. I know that they released like a teaser trailer announcing it that gives us kind of a glimpse of what we can expect visually, but I don't know what artistic direction they have. But I think that'd be kind of funny to kind of make it a little spotty, a little glitchy. Maybe the art style is a little muddy and kind of fucked up because the world is, because it's the fucking future and it's a dystopian future if we want to really look at it that way. But I know that The Last of Us is kind of going to be somewhat of a first of its kind. Because oh yeah, I even forgot. There's going to be a Tomb Raider animated series on Netflix, but that's going to be animated. It's not going to be live action. The only other series that I can think that's going to follow this template is a live action Assassin's Creed series that's also being developed for Netflix. Because after the failure of the future film adaptation, I know they're still trying to do. I know Ubisoft is still trying to do feature film adaptations of their properties. They're currently developing a movie for The Division, and I think they're trying to do an animated film for Rabbids, but I don't know what all is in the cards for them. But they're doing a new push for a series based on their properties. Like, again, they're doing a live action Assassin's Creed series. They're doing an animated series. They're doing a Splinter Cell animated series, and then on top of that, all these other game franchises are getting animated series on the platform. But The Last of Us really kind of seems like it's going to be a first of its kind, because prior to it, all all real adaptations of games have been done as movies. And whenever you would get something episodic for a video game, it was always done as an animated series. The only sort of exception I can think of this was Defiance, if anyone fucking remembers that show. But I don't really count that as an example because that was a TV show that was made in tandem with a video game. Like, they coexist together and bounced off each other. One did not exist before the other. They both coexisted with each other. They both arrived at the same time and existed as such. But unfortunately, that game was kind of a muddy disaster, and the show followed suit with it. So I don't treat that as the same thing because, again, both of their existence were hand in hand with each other. Not one of the other came first.
Right.
But that's kind of in a similar ballpark. So this series is going to be a sort of a first of its kind, and I hope that in light of its success, definitely mean that more adaptations like it can exist. Because I do strongly feel, given the past, I do strongly feel like video games don't always translate well to that film media.
Right.
Like, again, video games are a more immersive media and do open the template to tell much longer stories. Like, you're looking at, depending on the game, you're looking at 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 hours of game that's filled with story. And how do you translate that to film? And, well, you aren't going to be able to cram that much narrative into that unless you're planning on making a franchise, which most of them only ever get the standalone movie. So I really do hope that the success of this can show that, you can do live action adaptations of video games as episodic series and be able to, contain the integrity of the overall story without having to compromise its length, without having to compromise all of those important beats and details that made those stories what they are. Another example I can think of is Little Nightmares is getting a television adaptation. It's going to be getting adaptation, but that's probably going to be a stop motion series, which I'm going to be interested to see. And I know Life is Strange is getting a live action series adaptation by the same studio doing that adaptation of Little Nightmares. So I know Life is Strange was that series was in development first, but I don't know which either of these are going to come out first. But The Last of Us seems like the more prominent project because it just has a much larger audience and a much larger appeal, I guess, culturally.
Right.
Life is Strange is also getting a live action adaptation, live action episodic adaptation. And then, so yeah, hopefully that the success of that, and perhaps even the success of Life is Strange, and maybe even the success of Little Nightmares, can show that, yeah, adaptations can work in these other media. Episodic adaptations of these can work just as well as feature films, if not maybe even better, regardless of whether they're animated, stop motion animation, or live action. This can prove that you can tell these stories without having to make these big budget blockbusters that compromise the overall story for the sake of condensing them and creating a big blockbuster spectacle.
Right.
I know the Resident Evil reboot is coming out September of this year, and that's, from what we understand, from what I understand and what others understand, is going to be a condensed adaptation of Resident Evil 1 and 2. But given how those stories unfold, I'm actually interested to see how they manage to kind of tackle doing those stories simultaneously back to back with each other in that, because I mean, it literally was like a zombie incident at this mansion in the fucking mountains to a zombie outbreak in the city not far from those mountains.
Right.
So I think it could be really interesting to try to retell that story with that kind of framework where while the STARS unit is, fighting zombies and other monsters and figuring out the conspiracy going on there, the outbreak has already reached this Raccoon City and you have survivors trying to, deal with it there. I think that could be a really kind of interesting sort of like story, back and forth where we're doing like A and B plots. But until I see a trailer, I don't 100% know like what the movie is going to be structured as or what it's going to tell. But that's coming out later. That's supposed to be coming out later this year, and hopefully that is going to be an interesting example of a successful film adaptation of a game, or I guess games in the sense plural, since it's combining the narratives. Since it's, from what we understand, it's combining the narratives of Resident Evil 1 and 2 into one story. But I'm very excited. But yeah, I'm wholeheartedly very excited for the Last of Us series before these, first big casting was made. But now, I mean, I can definitely say I'm even more jazzed for it now. Right. Now that we know who's going to be playing our main characters.
No, absolutely. And
but what about you? Like, I know I kind of did like what about you?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. My opinion on the game and stuff.
But do you think that this might? Do you think if this is done well, do you think it might that? Because maybe for you, I'm thinking maybe for you the game wasn't vibing with you, but maybe this take on it, this version of it.
Give this a shot because I have HBO Max, and if it's going to be on there, I might as well watch it because I like Pedro Pascal. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what happens, and I'll give it a shot absolutely. Because I'm guessing it's not going to come out till like next year.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think this is. I still think this is a ways off. I still think that this series is a ways off. I know they're currently underway with writing is currently still underway, and they've already got directors in line to do episodes. But I don't know fucking for certain how long it's going to be before cameras on this thing actually start rolling. So I'm looking forward to seeing Oh, right, I almost forgot. There is going to be a live action Halo series, so that's 3.
Okay.
So there's going to be a live action Life is Strange series. HBO is doing a Last of Us live action series, and then Showtime is doing a live action Halo series. So that's 3. But I'm mostly excited and anticipating to kind of see how this story vibes with you in contrast to the game. Because
absolutely. And
maybe for some people, a game isn't their cup of tea, and maybe this might be it. Who knows?
Like I said, when we talked about when the show comes out, like we want to do like an episode by episode weekly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would. I very much would love to do that. It's like,
but yeah,
I know I normally don't like getting. I'm normally not a fan of like those episode talks and recaps or whatever, but I think it'll be interesting to do it for this one, especially as me, being the big fan that I am of the series, and you kind of being more of the opposite. Respectfully so, though.
Right. Yeah, I'm not shitting on.
No, it's like we've talked about this before, and I definitely know we kind of mentioned it here, but it's not like it's like we've talked about it a handful of times, and it's like I totally understand I totally understand where you're coming from, and I totally respect your opinion. I mean,
and I respect I'm not a huge dick going around like I'm not like some idiot who says that Joel isn't a fucking beloved character.
Which, if you're saying that, then I feel like if somebody, like whoever, like to all of you that are saying that Joel is a beloved character, I encourage you to replay to play the first game and then replay part 2, because especially just replay the first game, because a beloved character by ass. He's an interesting character. And I can definitely say that, having played that game as many times as I have, I definitely care for him as like a character and a person. But I'm not going to say that he's a beloved character, and I'm not going to get into it, but his actions throughout the story, especially the ending, are heavily up for debate, and I definitely have my own opinion on that. Right. But you've given me your stance, and I wholeheartedly respect your points. They're very valid, and again, everyone interprets the story differently and has their own takeaways from it. That's the beauty of games, and
that's the beauty of art. And
that's the beauty of art.
While I don't while I'm not, I would never call myself a fan of Last of Us. I can understand its artistic merits and why people love it.
Yeah, exactly. And I can totally respect your reasoning as to why it's not something that you didn't like it and why it didn't vibe with you. And I wholeheartedly hope that the upcoming series, might be, might
I
be
wanted to change my mind. Like I want to go in
yeah,
and be a fan. Like I don't go into something being like, oh, I'm gonna fucking hate this.
yeah.
You know.
It's
But
like I'm very interested, but I'm not gonna get my hopes up, and I'm not gonna be like, you gotta love this. It's like I'm very interested to see how you, my best friend, my
and
my my brother,
my best friend
react.
as well. But no,
I'm very interested to see how you react.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
But
to
yeah,
this.
I was gonna say like, I don't think we have anything else really to talk about because I'm thinking of kind
Well,
of ending it.
speaking of Pedro Pascal, I
Oh,
did want to. This isn't really a talking point. I just kind of wanted to shout this out. So the other day, I did see. I did read a small article about him. You know, his sister Lux recently came out as transgender, male to female, if that wasn't obvious. And he and not there was actually an entire cover story, an article interviewing her, kind of talking to her about her experience and kind of the whole situation, and especially with her brother Pedro. But I really want, and I think that's an absolutely great interview and great story, and I highly say that you should look into that.
oh
I'm gonna
yeah.
I'll probably try to track down a link for it and put it in the
Oh
description for the
yes,
for
please
the
do.
episode. Um, but but I really wanted to shout this out because not only is Pedro just a talented actor, but just a cool guy in general. But I really do respect and appreciate his, not only him showing solidarity for his sister, but also just expressing his absolute, enthusiasm and just like support and excitement that his sister, his sibling, his family is, has made that step, has made that bold step, has properly has come out, you know, saying and just showing his, love, support, and his enthusiasm for his sister, and just being there for her during this time. I mean, not that not that I imagine any real negativity is stirring from this. Like, at least I hope not. Transphobes, get the fuck out of here. We don't want. I don't want your kind around these parts.
We yeah.
Especially you, the turfs, get the fuck out of here. Nobody wants you here. But jokes aside, it's just like just getting to see him just up like absolutely just express his love, support, and just enthusiasm. It's just rare to see, like, I guess, like enthusiasm from from family members, or even perhaps even friends. But just to see this type of reaction from him, just showing his love, enthusiasm, and support for his sister, coming out as transgender, is just so sweet and just so amazing to see, not just in general, but for me being a trans woman, it's just so great to see that, just so absolutely amazing to see that. And Pedro, if I somehow, like, in some way that you happen to see this,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's like I really wish I could give you just like the biggest hug right now.
Right.
Just so much love, and just so much thank you. And just like, I know I really shouldn't be like congratulating you or giving you a pat on the back. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. It's just like, it really isn't something that needs congratulating, but I feel like I just want to say it, just as, a person of my background, of being trans and being in the community and whatnot. But really, thank you so much for just being so cool, being so loving, and being so supportive of your sister Lux, and
Mm-hmm.
being there for her and having her back, and just practically screeching from the goddamn rooftops just how happy you are for her, and how fantastic it is for her to make that step and to be there for her. It means absolutely so much to me, and I imagine so many other people in the community, whether so many other people in the community and allies alike. It's just, thank you for just being such a sweet and amazing human being, and being there for her. It means so much, and I really do wholeheartedly appreciate it. The love is there. I wish I could hug you, but the love is there, my friend. You
Absolutely.
keep being amazing. Thank you.
No, yeah, that's amazing. But yeah, no, that's super freaking awesome.
I know. I almost want to start crying because it's just like it
Aw.
really means, no, it really means a lot to me. I
No,
mean,
it's fantastic.
to not only get to see people, to not only get to see people in the community be able to comfortably and even like optimistically and positively just make that step, to embrace and accept and say who they really are, say what they're thinking, and just be themselves
Right.
without fear, without restraints, and then to just have love and support, not just from people, but also like your family, your loved ones, people that have been there with you since you were born and have just been a part of you, been with you for pretty much your entire life. That's so amazing to see.
Right.
I mean, it's one thing when you have allies and you have your friends that are there for you, but I feel like it's especially sweet to see it when it's your own family that are there for you, showing their love, showing their support, and showing their and just standing by you no matter what with you. It means so much to me. Unfortunately, it is something that not many, trans people or LGBT people in generally get, but it is a very important and it is a very wonderful thing to have. I know I am so thankful to have, such loving fans, like to have such loving and understanding family who are there for me, who support me, who make the effort to, refer to me by, by my preferred name, my preferred pronouns, and just perceive me and just like just perceive me, treat me, and just respect me as who I really am, as who I am. It means so much for me, and it means, so much more, like so much to have that from, friends like you, my best friend, my brother, to get that from you, my like all my other good friendos out there in the world, and even just allies alike. It means so much to just have all of that, because it really does make a difference. It
You're
really
gonna
does
make me
make
cry, Max. Stop.
no it, like it's important. It really does make a positive difference. It's like you all have no idea how much it means to us to just have, like, to know that you are there for us, not that you just respect and understand us, but that you love and support us for who we really are, for who we are as individuals, as confident, strong individuals who can happily, live as our best and most genuine selves in the world. It really means the world, and I can personally say for myself that I am so freaking thankful, and I really, and for others out there, I imagine they probably think the same, and I really hope that others in, similar shoes, going through similar experiences, and possibly even struggling with coming out, I hope that you truly do get that, same love and support from those around you, because, being yourself, you should be allowed to. You really should be allowed to just be and express yourself as who you know yourself to be. It's really important. So God damn, oh gosh, it's just thank you. It's such a great thing to see, and such a great thing to have. It
Mhm.
really is amazing.
Uh, but yeah, no, fucking all right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to I didn't
No,
mean to
no,
kind of like
we're gonna like
I didn't mean to go on such a like an emotional
I
tangent.
feel
But
so. I don't know what to say because I never want to like interrupt you because you're like the smartest person I know, and I always want you to like have like.
Oh please. I mean I have my moment. I have my moments. I mean I'm never gonna say that I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm
Well,
I'm
with
I'm
me in
too.
it, you're definitely the smartest person I know.
Oh, thank
But no,
you. So much love.
how much love?
But
No, yeah, no, I think we kind of covered everything this week. It was kind of a slow week.
yeah, it was another slow week, but I there was definitely some meaty stuff to go back
Oh
and
yeah,
forth on. And but I feel like, again, that's the beauty of it. It's like some weeks you're not gonna get much, not much is going on, but then who knows? There's gonna be a week or maybe a day where so much shit goes down where it's like,
yeah.
fuck, we got things to talk about.
All right. Well, I'm gonna call it for this week. We will see each other, everyone, next week.
Yeah,
And
thank you. Like, sorry, go ahead.
no, love you all. We're building
Stay
our
on.
YouTube channel. We're building it up. We got like a couple views on our last video. We're building it up. Just
But
kind
that's
of.
not what it's about. It's just us
So
having
I'm just
fun
saying, like
doing
we're
what we're
building up.
doing. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
We're building up
No,
a really
it's like,
good community. I feel like.
oh yeah, no, yeah, I feel like it too. I mean, it's
Mm.
I feel like it's fun to just be able to just sit down and just
Oh,
have two Dirks, two nerds, two enthusiasts just sit down and shoot the shit about what's going on in good old the
oh,
nerd.
Well, next week is going to be a big episode because you're going to get to see me go off on the fucking Snyder Cut trailer.
I know. I'm looking forward to watching that. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to say about that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we back and forth have to say.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing not only because the first trailer for it was very. It was just images with like the music. I'm really hoping that this trailer we get to see the differences in the story and the tone and everything. We've already seen.
I'm mostly just interested to see how the story is supposed to play out this time.
Well, I mean, the fact that like we're getting 3.5 hours of unseen footage. I'm just like, yes,
fuck yes,
yes. No more CGI mustache.
I mean, at that point, that was like such a joke. I actually kind of weirdly like it because it's just so funny to think about.
Well, and then I know the Joker pictures are released this week, but I kind of want to talk about next week with the Snyder Cut because we'll be able to see him in action in the trailer.
Yes, exactly.
So, but all right.
Anyway, thank you all so very much for watching. Much love. Stay awesome. Stay beautiful out there. Be nice to each other. Good grief. Be nice to each other.
Be excellent to
Be excellent and party on, dudes.
All
but
right.
anyway, yes, we'll stop waffling. Thank you all so very much for watching.
Peace.